What up, dope? You understand me? It's the place to see. So first, I'm talking about ladies. Ladies, gentlemen, players, hustlers, bosses. Welcome back to another edition of the Fly Zone Radio Show. This is Big OG Trick Live in the Blue Room on 8 Mile. If you know, you know. If you don't, it ain't for you, bitch. Today is, see, you don't need to know it's a redo, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a redo. Before we had some audio complications, but I believe today, my very special guest, my brother, attorney Wolfgang Mueller in the building. What's up, bro? This is the guy, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy, okay? When you gotta go to war, but it's a different type of war. He's gonna school us this episode, he's gonna put us up on game. He gonna teach us a few things, and we're gonna talk to the brother about everything you think you need to know about hiring a lawyer for what he does. Artists, don't forget to send that music to the flyzoneradio@gmail.com. I got some new music from DJ Premier. What's up, Primo? I got some new music from Snoop Dogg and the Dog Pound. I got some new music from Willie J. Peso, and somebody else sent something. If it's you, you're ahead, motherfucker. Tune in. Let's go. I need nieces. Oh. The Fly Zone Radio Show, Shade 45. Once again, artists, don't forget, send that new music to theflyzoneradio@gmail.com. I pre-record my interviews, but I'm gonna go to the email and download some of this new shit. Shout out to Best Dressed Fresh, one of the most. This guy, he delivers so many hit records. Like, he done sent me 12 records, and out of 12 records, I think I play all 12 of them. Best Dressed Fresh. Keep it up. Keep your eyes open for Best Dressed Fresh. I'm looking for great things to happen for this brother. In the building today, my brother, Wolfgang Mueller. Now, dude, how do you say? You have a law firm.
Yep, I have a law firm, Mueller Law Firm.
Mueller Law Firm, but, okay, so what do you... It seemed like you would be bigger than the word attorney. What is it like? Is it something else? It's got to be something else. You too badass.
No, I'm just Wolf from Brightmoor, just a knock around kid from Brightmoor.
Damn it, man. Did you hear him? If you know, you know. If you don't, it ain't for you, bitch. It said Wolf from Brightmoor, baby. Attorney at law, law firm. So what type of law do you specialize in? Like, what's your gig?
I specialize in practice in wrongful convictions. I help those who have been exonerated for crimes they haven't committed hold the people accountable, primarily police officers who framed them or did other things to get them put in prison for a crime they didn't commit. Most of the time, and it's murder.
Most of the time. So what are some of the things that police, that you've known that police have done to, wrongfully convict?
Sure, it can be everything from false confessions false confessions from promising you can go home to a 17-year-old if you just say you did it and your mom's waiting right outside. And then 17-year-old brain doesn't know, they just want to get out of this bad situation. So they sign whatever's put in front of them. They're never going home, ever. To planting snitches in the jails, in the bullpens, or even worse, what happened in the 1990s in Detroit, a whole snitch ring on the 9th floor of the DPD lockup. They would give a couple of these guys the discovery packets from your case. They'd tell them to memorize the facts, and then the police officer would write out a statement of what you supposedly told that snitch. Snitch would go in there, testify. One guy put 20 guys away.
One motherfucker put 20 different dudes away.
And snitches want to get a rep, but when guys go to jail, they're not going to some stranger and telling them what happened.
Right.
So if some guy puts 20 people away, was he Oprah?
Right.
No, then now it's all coming home to roost.
So that in particular, you saying is now they hip to it, like so.
And guys are now getting out. Different guys that did 25 years have been released in the last couple of years.
And it's DPD.
DPD. And but it happens all over. It happens not only in big cities like Detroit or Chicago, but smaller, small-town rural communities. And sometimes it's even worse because everybody's in cahoots in the small-town communities, especially back in the 80s and 90s.
So how does a person, like when a person is like wrongfully convicted, is it something that another attorney discovers, or is that what you do like the family of the victim, I'm gonna call it victim, does the family of the victim contact you and say, these police lying on my boy?
No, the way I get these cases, and kudos to the Innocence Projects and the Innocence Clinics at the various law schools around Michigan and around the country for the hard work that they do to get a guy free.
Right.
And now with more and more prosecutors' office forming conviction integrity units to relook at a case.
Right.
Because once you get convicted, anybody who's been in the system knows the appellate system is made for procedure. They don't care, frankly, if the jury got it wrong.
Right.
They just want to know that procedures are followed. So once you get convicted, it is very, very hard to get free again. Right. And that's where these conviction integrity units and
Innocence clinics,
they do such good work. 10 years, 12 years, they'll work on a case.
Yeah.
And then finally, when they get exonerated, I've been fortunate enough that people call me, and then I hold these cops accountable because they've never had to face 5 or 6 hours of questioning on why they did what they did.
Right. And I mean, I'm curious, not like it make a fucking bit of difference. I'm curious to what kind of excuses do these fucking dirty, rotten pigs give for being such pussies and doing the shit that they do? Do they just try to backpedal they slimy ass up out of it?
There has never been a cop, in my experience, who's owned up to their misconduct.
He gonna just lie to the
end. Their ass off, frankly. They're convinced in their heart that your guy did it. And so I have finally come to realize it is truly an ends justifies the means mindset. Right. Whatever it takes to get this guy, we think he's a bad guy. And that's a societal win. So they think they're the knight in shining armor when they're not upholding the Constitution.
Period.
They're violating people's rights, and they're ruining families. And you know who else they're ruining? The victim of the crime's family, because they think they have closure.
Right.
20 years later, they realize the wrong guy was in. Right. So we never got the guy who did this to my loved one.
Right. Exactly. And that's horrible.
That's tragic.
They've been spent all this time. Yeah, they got his ass. He ain't never coming home. Then it's like, that ain't him.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I've been a victim of, that type of police brutality myself where, they've showed witnesses my album covers and said, this the person that killed your loved one. And, I watched those same people that they coerced and get on the stand and just tell a bald-faced ass whole lie on me like, nah, that wasn't me. I was way down the fucking street. But this is amazing to see that this shit actually happens. Like, not amazing in a good way. I'm fucked up. Like, bitch, if you don't open your fucking eyes and look at me, I ain't the nigga you talking about. And come to find out, Detroit police was the ones that coerced her into saying that. You know what I mean? And it was some nigga cops. So, yeah, we ain't gonna act like it's,
that's another thing I learned.
There's some nigga pigs.
When you're naive, you think it's a color thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a race thing. No, it's an us against everybody. It's a blue against everybody thing. They ought to print up those T-shirts because that's the mentality.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. The vast majority of police officers are hardworking. They're underpaid. They're risking their lives every day. And they're underappreciated, frankly. But the ones who are in the high-pressure jobs, the homicide cops, where there's a lot of attention, they get beat down and they get overworked and they cut corners. And then most of all, I think they get jaded. It's been my experience. Mm-hmm. And they just believe what they're doing is right and the end justifies the means. And the most I ever had of somebody who conceded, you know what, if I got it wrong, I hope he gets a lot of money.
Like that.
Yeah, but that's pretty cavalier. I hope he gets a lot of money because I'm keeping my retirement.
Right.
Right.
Right. your pension and they watch.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because what are they? Are they above prosecution for that shit, or
No,
like prosecutors? Like I heard or I read once that you can't prosecute a prosecutor.
You almost cannot ever sue a prosecutor civilly. It's called absolute prosecutorial immunity. You know, they can put up a snitch witness who they know is lying, and they can't get sued for that. They can hide evidence of a clear witness who says you didn't do it. They don't have to tell anybody. They don't get sued for that.
I saw that. Yeah.
Police officers, a little bit different. They don't have as much immunity, but it's still this whole idea of governmental immunity and qualified immunity for officers is ridiculous. It was never in the Constitution. It's been made up by judges on the Supreme Court since about 1982.
Right.
And now it offers so much protection that you and I don't get. Cops hold everybody else accountable. But they don't have to be held accountable.
Who the fuck gonna hold them accountable? Exactly.
Me.
There we go. My God. Yes. That's a superhero logo.
Me.
I love it. I appreciate that. As far as the cases that you've had to represent, because you've had to represent some people in cases, civil rights cases as well. How do you balance that, police brutality or police misconduct or, whatever the charges, whatever it is, the wrongful convictions versus like civil rights lawsuits or some of the other fields of law that you do?
I will tell you this. I broke in as a lawyer. I used to be an automotive engineer by background. Mm-hmm. And I did 20 years of product liability around the country. And you see kids who have been killed, burned, paralyzed. It's terrible.
Right.
But when I got into this in the last 10, 15 years of helping those who have been wronged by wrongful convictions, it really changed how I viewed things. One, it's feel good because people can't get behind sometimes somebody who's been hurt in a car accident seriously because of a product defect or something, right? Because they might not know anybody like that. But everybody seems on a jury to either have been falsely accused at some time in their life, even in 8th grade, right? Or knows somebody, a loved one or a neighbor, who went to jail or prison and they believe they got screwed. Right. So everybody can get behind somebody who got screwed. And the crazy thing is, you talk about police brutality, guns and tasers and beatdowns. There is so much power in a pen.
Right.
And I had a cop tell me one time, he goes, Wolf, it's not how it happened, it's how we say it happened. And that's, when you have that much power in a pen, that's scary.
And that much, and the fucking cojones to say that, like you doing somebody a favor.
Or you're bragging about it?
Bragging about, that's, so fuck the truth. Just, it's not how it happened, it's how we say it happened. And then we wrong, when people are wrong, and then they'll say people are wrong for rejoicing when one of them catch a badass goddamn situation, whether he innocent or not. You know what I mean? They'll look at people like they fucked up when you say, well, they'll look at a guy that says, if you kill my child, you kill my daughter, you kill my wife, I'm killing everybody in your motherfucking family. They'll look at him like he wrong. Yep, you got these same motherfuckers that'll run around and say some shit like that. It's not how it happened, but how we say it happened.
And it's unfortunate because these are the people, a lot of times, or the detectives, who, like I said, are overworked, especially in a town like Detroit.
Yeah, so are the teachers, then. Yeah,
right?
So is every fucking body.
But they don't have the kind of immunity police officers do, and they don't have the power to put somebody away for the rest of their life.
Right.
And then people don't understand, in states like Michigan where we don't have a death penalty, we do have a death penalty. It's first-degree murder, life without the possibility of parole.
Flat out.
It is a death sentence. There's just no date certain.
Period.
But you will die in prison. And you've probably known people, I've had guys go in at 18, come out at 55.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. They weren't old enough to drink.
Right.
And then when they come out, they get an AARP card. Right? And everything happens in the fabric of our life. It happens between our 20s and 40s. We get married. We have kids. Our kids graduate high school. We're planning on being grandparents. All those kind of things that you miss out on.
Life sentence is a death sentence.
Right?
Yeah. We'll be right back. Fly Zone Radio Show, Shade 45. The Fly Zone Radio Show, Shade 45. I'm back with my very special guest, as always. Y'all, I ain't calling nobody in here but the best. You dig? If they sitting in here kicking it with me, they bought that. Me and this brother have worked together on some family stuff before and come out very victorious. So I advise you to investigate what you see here, Mueller Law Firm, for what you need or what you might need for your family. Brother Truth, without further ado, once again, Brother Wolfgang Mueller. Wolf, you do sports and shit too, right?
Yeah, I've represented athletes over the years and dabbled in a couple of entertainers and
just like contract writing or negotiating?
Just contracts and representing athletes. So
That's what's up.
I try to be diverse.
There you go.
Yeah.
What got you into law, the specific brand of law, grade of law that you practice?
The way I practice now, and it's generally a personal injury because I've done personal injury for 30 years, product liability, car crashes, a lot of stuff with technical backgrounds because of my engineering background. But I got into this field of wrongful convictions probably in about 2009. First, two people that the University of Michigan Innocence Clinic got exonerated. One of their founders, who is now a retired Michigan Chief Justice, Bridget McCormick, she knew my partner. They brought those two guys to our office. I was young. I said, hell yeah, I'll do this, no problem. And so I started getting into it, and then all of a sudden your eyes open to the prison experience and the abuses in the criminal justice system. And it's not just cops, but a lot of it is forensic scientists who are either dirty or just lousy, right? In arson cases, for example. A lot of it is overzealous prosecutors. And I hate to say, a lot of it is bad defense lawyering. So it can be that perfect storm of an overzealous prosecutor, a lousy defense lawyer, and a cop who's cutting corners and cheating to win. And a kid, primarily in Detroit, young black kids, they don't have a prayer because they don't have the money typically to afford somebody who can actually go toe-to-toe with them.
Tell me some. That brought me to another question I thought about. So, it's no secret, like, white people use, and I hate to use the word white because they not white. They just light-skinned and motherfucker. And I'm not black. I'm brown as fuck if we gonna play the crayon box, goddammit. And I'm fucking not racist because there go my nephew, and he is lighter than everybody in the room. Mikey Shoemaker, ladies. Listen, my question is, white people use police as a weapon. What do you think it would take to get white people to understand that some police is crooked too? Like, because I see a lot of people, like, rooting for Derek Chauvin to get out of prison, and I'm like, hey, man, we got a video that show him I don't give a fuck what that man took, what drug he was on. He was crying, saying, I can't breathe, and screaming for his mother. He clearly wasn't a threat and did not deserve to die. I don't care what the fuck drug he was on. You got some dope fiend relatives too, motherfucker. But why do white people think that police can't be dirty or crooked?
I think to answer your question, it stems from a lot of divisiveness in society, going back to the 50s, 60s, and it was white and black, right? And so where I grew up in Detroit, back then that was Copper Corner because the police officers had to live in Detroit and the firefighters. They just happened to be, my neighborhood happened to be where all the cops and firefighters lived. So I could throw a baseball and hit 3 cops. Well, you learn then that they're your friends, right? And you put them on a pedestal. People in the black community, when you do a focus group on a case like this, these wrongful conviction cases, you see so much stark difference in how black folks and white folks on your mock juries think about cops and think about your defendant, especially if he's a black guy. I mean, there's no question that we are still in a very racist society.
Believe it.
And a divided society, as we can tell just from the elections. Right?
Yeah.
It's and it's not getting any better, frankly.
No, it's not. It's not. I think the world is more divided now than it's ever been. But in the same token, I do believe that it has killed some stigmatas and some people think, okay, these people are this way and this group of people is this way, and then you find out, no, that motherfucker thinks just like me. Like you say, when you foolish, you think skin color is the reason for, all your problems, but it's really like, just a lack of resources and motivation, and sometimes that go back to skin color.
Sometimes.
Some people are granted more resources because of their geological, location. The ghetto is deprived of a lot of resources that you can find, in places like Southgate and I don't know, maybe not Southgate. Probably wasn't a great. Let's say Beverly Hills, Michigan,
right.
or
Grosse Pointe.
Grosse Pointe, right? Grosse Pointe Shores, Grosse Pointe Farms, all that up along Lakeshore Drive. I see how the police look at me when I ride my motorcycle past, as opposed to how they look at somebody else.
Right. But I think the answer, at least part of the answer, is, and it's the same way with teachers. You have to pay them better.
Oh, believe it.
To get a better quality officer, you have to pay them better. You've been around the city for a long, long time, your whole life, and I guarantee black cops, white cops, you've seen them and you go, how the fuck did you ever become a police officer?
Right.
How did they give you a badge?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But because people don't want to be cops anymore,
it's easy to be one.
It's a whole lot easier to be one, especially if you're willing to take less money.
Well, in the past 10, 15 years, we've been, donating, resources to young individuals who want to become police officers, so that we can make sure that some of the new police officers being hired are, more understanding to their communities. It's not about being lenient. It's about understanding and knowing your community,
And having empathy.
Exactly.
And not forgetting where you grew up.
Thank you.
Just because you put on a badge and a uniform.
Right.
Guess what? You were my neighbor.
Sure enough.
We went to junior high school together.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Your gun you ain't faster with that motherfucker than I am with mine, so don't start the bullet game, motherfucker. One. You cool and I like you. We grew up.
Because I know you from 8th grade.
Yeah, bro. You ain't built like that, bro. Slow it down a little bit, my nigga. It's okay. But I got some really good friends of mine that are police officers and higher ranking police officers. Now, I mean, it's different than it was when I'm to the age now where I understand that a lot of what I done wrong in my young days, that was me. Ain't no motherfucker. It wasn't the police fault they caught me with motherfucking 2-3 ounces in my pocket.
Right.
What the fuck I'm doing with 2-3 ounces of cocaine in my pocket? You know what I mean? It wasn't they fault that, you know what I mean, anytime, they wasn't they fault I took off running with the other dope in my pocket the time they caught me and I caught my second dope case. That was me. You know what I mean? I had to come out of that. We raised to believe, we born to believe they the enemy. And if somebody come in your motherfucking house, or you come home and your shit ramsack, you gotta call them. Or you got a crazy ass nephew or crazy ass cousin tripping and
with a knife,
and you gotta call them. Anything going on in your neighborhood, it's a fight outside, the people down the street, a man just pulled up with a gun. You gotta call them. You know what I mean? Police came to my house one day. It was a situation across the street, and I seen some people moving around my neighborhood real weird. And come to find out, the nigga said he was a recovery agent, which sounded like Repo Man to me, But it was usually he's across the street and they was looking through dude's car and put shining lights, I'm like, man, what the fuck y'all doing, bro? Man, what the fuck you doing, cuz? Get the fuck on away from there. Next thing I know is 10 motherfucking guns pointing at me. They ain't look like police, though. So you know what I mean? You know what I did? 911. Yeah. Hey. And the cop told me, he said, Dr. Mathis, you have more rights with your weapon inside your house than you do outside your house. Yep. You know what I mean? But you come to my house, no question. Out of there. And then by the end, you got to call them.
But a lot of it is that, and you, as you matured, and like everybody does when they mature, you start looking at the mirror instead of looking out the window, right? Like they always say in sports, film don't lie.
Yeah.
Right? So you took ownership of, that was me. That wasn't the cops.
Yeah, that was me.
And a lot of it is, majority of times, it is you.
It's us. Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, my state number, that's mine. I earned that bitch. That's mine. Yeah.
So, but it's, like I said, it's most cops are good. The ones who are bad do so much harm. And do harm to the good cops. Because when people can't trust a police officer, then you have problems in your society. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. And everybody has to get behind the police chief and try to improve things. But it takes empathy, as you know.
On all parts. It take an understanding community. It take everybody. You know what I mean? And like you say, police have to be more transparent with, more empathy, more understanding of where you are. I think every police officer should know. You should know everybody in your community. In your area, it shouldn't be about being reactive. It should be about being proactive. When I was growing up, we had officers in our neighborhood. We knew their names. They knew our names. They worked at the schools. They patrolled the schools. They patrolled our neighborhoods as well. They would see us. What if you pull up on you, if you ain't in class, why the fuck you ain't in school? Get your ass in the back and take your ass to school. They will take you to school. Right. Walk you to your class. Hey, here you go. Yeah, he don't come back to class again, you call me. I'm gonna lock your ass up. You keep fucking with me. That's how they talk. Ashford was one of the officers. What's the other guy named? Forham. Shout out to them. They was the OG police officers in our neighborhood that we all knew. We all had a great deal of respect for them because of the way they dealt with us.
See, they dealt with you and it wasn't zero tolerance.
Right.
You're supposed to be in school, I'm gonna throw your ass in jail.
Yeah.
For whatever, loitering, doing whatever. They wanted, just like parents, it takes a village, just like in the neighborhoods when we were growing up. Man, you'd be worried about your neighbor beating your ass and taking you home to mom, right?
Yeah.
And so we've lost a lot of that, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But it's people need to, and when we talk about the violence of police officers with respect to, beatdowns or shootings, we have to teach officers how to deal with mental illness. So many things, school shootings, mental illness where you can see it happening. But if they're not equipped with the right resources, they haven't been trained properly, as soon as they see a knife, they're pulling out the gun. And it's going to end bad.
Yeah.
It's just going to end badly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I understand protecting yourself, but there should be other ways when you're dealing with mentally ill people. I'm not saying, if you're a police officer, you're automatically risking your life, but understand you need to be more understanding of what's going on in your community. So when you approach a mentally ill person, I believe you should already know who the fuck that is. That's in your district. That's in your area. If you done got a call about him, just recently in Ypsilanti or Inkster. No, it was southwest area. The police shot a mentally ill man, and they had gotten plenty calls on him before, where they had to deal with him before. And this time he had a knife. This was literally about a month ago, maybe. And he had a knife. And when they dropped the knife, and he, started going towards him, and they, I think they hit him like 15 times. It's like, a smart cop could have hit that motherfucker right in his thigh. Bah! right in his knee. Take his knee out.
That'll never happen. They're taught center
like
mass.
They go kill.
Right.
It's like, God damn, bro. That motherfucker got a mental problem. You're just gonna kill him? He need help. He don't need to die. He needs help. And they called you for help. If you come, take him down, kill him, take his life, fuck his life.
Especially when situations happen where you're dealing with an obviously mentally ill person, and all of a sudden it escalates. They're not taught to de-escalate.
De-escalate, right?
It escalates, and the mentally ill person's getting agitated and ramped up, and they're going to do something stupid. Yeah. Like maybe if they do charge, and then you have to discharge your weapon. I understand those things happen, but you have to be able to de-escalate. They're not trained well enough
at
in
all.
that.
They're not trained well enough. They're not evaluated properly. They're not evaluated not randomly, often enough. You know, you got to think. You know, they had to show up every day. They see a dead body, pretty much. One way or another, whether somebody died in the house, been dead in the house for years, somebody just passed away, you got to go over here, somebody died in the house just died, or somebody that got killed. They've seen niggas with their brains blowed out, young people, kids shot, and just all type of madness. That's not normal for nobody. I don't give a fuck what your job description is. You know, you don't work at the morgue. You're a police officer. You see this every day. That bothers you. I know it do. And it bothers the people in the community as well. You said it. Hammer on the nail. Mental illness is the biggest problem in this world right now. It will literally, it boils down every fucking issue in this world right now. Damn near every issue in this world. Mental illness.
And how do we deal with it, right? And you're right. The officers see things. You can't unsee those things. My son is a cop. He tells me about things he sees. You can't unsee that. You need counseling. Yeah. Because the more you don't get it, what happens to police officers have a above average incidence of alcoholism? Well, no shit. It's because you're self-medicating. If you're not talking it out, getting counseling.
Oh, I know many of them.
Mm-hmm. So it's a tough problem. And they need to pay officers better to get a higher caliber officer, because police officers, whether they're detectives or street cops, they're still subject to the same human frailties as the rest of us. Mm-hmm. Whether it's envy or class distinction or whatever it is, or
worthless whores.
and that's when you carry a badge and a gun and you have those same human frailties. That's why we have drug cops ripping off drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they got to pay for their college education for their kids. So if you're getting these kind of officers, and again, it's a very, very few, but they exist. And when they do harm, it's harmful to everybody. It's harmful to us as taxpayers. When somebody is sitting in prison at $30,000, $40,000 a year to house them, and they're the wrong guy.
And it's $30,000, $40,000 to house them. What do all cops make a year, average?
Probably more, maybe $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, right?
A year,
yeah. But you're housing these people, and the societal harm, because that guy who killed somebody, and he's the wrong guy who got put away, that guy's out there killing somebody else, and another family is losing their loved one.
Right.
This ain't the first rodeo.
And he know he can get away with it because he just did.
He just did.
Yeah.
And you get more brazen and more ballsy.
Oh, yeah.
When you did get away with it.
Yeah, the younger generation of killers are way more motherfucking retarded than some of the YBI boys and best friends from back in the day. These young motherfuckers retarded. And I understand that, when you're dealing with that type of monster, you have to put on another layer of aggression to save yourself. And to save lives and protect the people, that you hired and sworn to protect. I got to say, Detroit Police Department, I know they are very, well endowed in misconduct, but for the most part, dealing with them direct now, I see plenty of flaws, but I see the humans now. You know what I mean? And I understand the issues. And we have dialogue collectively between one another where we go to, where we understand each other, you know. I'm not a criminal, but, you know, I come from the shit. So I understand the criminal. And, you know, like you said, empathy is everything.
I will say this, in my experience, things are a lot better now than they used to be, and the city who pays for these lawsuits, for these settlements and verdicts, they're paying for the sins of the past. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff that happened in the 1990s and early 2000s, that kind of thing.
Those cops no
are
more.
retired.
Yeah, right.
But
so they free and clear.
But the shame of it is, one, there's a 6-year statute of limitations on anything you could ever get a cop on, typically. So by the time a guy gets out after doing 25 years, that statute of limitations is long gone.
He gone.
And he's retired, and he's drinking a mojito on a beach somewhere, while this person has...
That nigga doing security in a hotel elevator. Make sure you hold that frame for me, Damo. Yeah, he know who the fuck I'm talking about in the elevator, boy. I wish for success for you and your shit, homie. You know who the fuck you are, and I'm glad you ain't an officer no more. You shouldn't have been one when you was, prick. Nah, my bad. Anyway, he know who the fuck I'm talking about. I'm very experienced in, you know, police misconduct, and I had these motherfuckers do some. I mean, it's a wild ass police, bank robbing ass police. Just, what the fuck you gonna lock me up for some shit I ain't doing? You robbing banks, nigga.
13 banks.
Yeah, dog, what you on? And this nigga can't keep his finger off the trigger. I'm glad I turned myself in rather than have that bitch come looking for me, because he'd probably shot me how he expressed how much he hated me.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan either, dog. But I forgive you because that's what God requires me to do. But fuck you, nigga. Politics. Let's talk politics. How you feel about, like, I mean, the Teflon Don just took one to the ear. I think personally that really just put him in that made him, like, his audience just went from that to boom. I think he just got his seat in the White House. What you think about this upcoming election?
I'm not big on talking about politics. I will say this, though. One, thank God he's alive.
Thank God.
And because it has no business now, in my own opinion, a lot of what we see, he started inciting in 2015, 2016, as soon as he started running. So it's things are coming home to roost now.
You think he incited it or he just excited?
I think what he brought out was he normalized it. He made it okay. When did we ever have somebody giving a State of the Union address and congressmen yelling and heckling at them?
Right.
It never happened. People had decorum. This is the office of the president. Don't matter who it is.
Yeah.
It's the office of the president.
Right.
And now it's okay to have these Marjorie Greens and all these on the fringes with so much power.
Right.
No, I think that's what happened. And again, thank God he's alive. Probably it is a huge boost. I'd like to see how the money poured in this week.
I bet.
Right.
He might be looking at a Billy at this point. Elon Musk said he's supporting it. I ain't on front. I fuck with him too at this point. If I got to play the choose game between 1 and 2, you only give me 2 choices. You want me to choose this motherfucker keep shitting on himself and falling up the stairs? I'm not doing that.
I will say this, though.
I'm not doing that.
This is going to be my only, because I don't like engaging in political talk. If you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter who's in the
I ain't
White,
neither. I'm a Crip.
It doesn't matter who's in the White House. Trick, it matters if you're a woman who's pro-choice. That's going to matter. I don't care if it's Joe Biden or anybody else. You need to get out and vote on your issues. And what people don't realize is
that's local.
It's local and the national. It's the person who has the power to appoint the Supreme Court justices You see, Trump had 3 justices because Hillary took her foot off the gas. They're the ones who are making decisions for the next 40, 50 years. People didn't like Roe v. Wade. Guess what? It was around for 50 years. And some 50-year-old, 55-year-old Supreme Court justice is going to stay till he dies at 90. That's the power of the White House. Who gets to choose and appoint the Supreme Court justices? That's why people need to think long term. It's not the guy who's going to be in for the next 4 years.
Period. Yeah. Also, even more importantly, I believe, is local elections. The mayors, the governors, the senators, the congressmen, the state reps. These people are more, closer to the issues
that affect you,
that affect us,
right?
Exactly, directly on the soil. It's like you got to turn the corner and see a motherfucker. You got to see these niggas. They the ones that's making all of the, enforcing. States are allowed to, create laws of their own.
I mean, just look at the abortion issue. The Supreme Court left it to the states, so it is so important, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, whatever side you're on, to get out and vote.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be a state thing.
Yeah.
And locally the same way. Who is your mayor counts. Who's on your city council counts.
Yeah, definitely.
To you, right?
100%.
In Detroit. To me, growing up in Brightmoor, that person counts.
Yes.
Who's in my district.
Believe
so
it.
you better get out and vote and educate yourself.
And definitely be understanding of who that candidate is and what they represent.
Right.
Because they can look like you and be for all the wrong shit. Like Kamala Harris. I don't know that lady. I ain't finna talk about her. What do you think about the fact that it's only, when it comes to the presidential election, it's only really one or two ways to go?
I think people are so entrenched in two parties that an independent is all an independent can do is take away from one of the candidates.
That's it.
And that's why the two parties don't want a strong independent like Ross Perot or anybody else. Why? Because you took points away from the person.
What was the other little crazy Jew boy, Bernie?
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders. I'm going to get you. Like Bernie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. You only got one way or another, to go. Have you ever seen a difference in the amount of, action you get as being an attorney when one party is in a higher position than the other?
Oh, sure.
So yeah,
I saw it in 2017. Michigan enacted and it took place a statute compensating wrongfully convicted individuals, $50,000 per year, which is nothing compared to spending a year in prison, right? Especially these people who did 20, 25 years. But when we had a Republican governor and a Republican attorney general, they fought tooth and nail. Tooth and nail, like it was their own money, not to give these people who had it coming. And so when Democrat got elected governor, Democrat got elected attorney general, again, the word empathy comes in. They looked at it differently. And so it became a lot more civil, not such a dogfight to get what these folks truly had coming to them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's like I say, I don't like talking politics, but it plays its way into everything.
Yeah, right. That's where I was getting at. Does it affect, what you do? And I always had that discussion with everybody because a lot of people don't think it do, and I had to break it down to them. Let me tell me what you was doing then, and tell me how's that going now, or vice versa, blah, blah, blah. So,
but people need to realize, just the general public, get out and vote for the judges, for who's going to be on your Supreme Court in your state, because the federal ones are appointed, but state court judges are elected.
Elected.
So who's going to be on your Supreme Court is going to decide how the law is going to be for for the next 20, 30, 40 years in your state. That's the ground you walk on.
Right. I mean, it's going to be a waiver, a fight either way between sides because you have so many people who are uneducated and miseducated on so many different issues as it relates to these people who hold these positions. And there's some people who are so, I mean, you really can't say, it's really hard to say. You can't be mad at people for thinking that, you know, they've been a victim of something for so long that this is what they need to be whole or what they need for their world to be right. And then you got these people like, well, I don't want to pay no motherfucking all these taxes for no goddamn foreigners and shit. And it's like, if that's what they told you, I get it.
But vote your conscience then.
Vote, right.
Educate yourself and vote your conscience. And understand this, and Democrats are particularly guilty of this. The union movement where I'm voting Democrat, it's straight ticket. Then you don't realize on the back of the ballot are the judges and the Supreme Court justices, and that's not straight ticket stuff. You actually have to turn it over and vote and get yourself educated about the justices who will lean your way and have your way of thinking.
Right.
That's so important.
Right.
You know.
Right. Not just about, you know, tough on this and tough on that. And I get tough on anything that goes against a normal fabric of fucking life. I get tough on all that shit.
And I get tough on crime. Be tough on crime.
Yeah, hey, shit, it is what it is. Like, we don't need this shit around here.
But don't cheat to win, which is where I come in. When I find you cheated to win, you have to be held accountable, just like the citizens that you hold accountable every day.
Right, exactly. And don't put people in a box. You know, every fucking person that look like this person is not. You don't know a person directly. They not. You don't know them. Yeah. You can't say they.
Dennis Miller had the best line of all I've heard. He said, you know, once you get to know a person, there's plenty of legitimate reasons to hate them. You don't have to hate them because of their skin color. Just get to know them. You'll find a legitimate reason to hate someone.
You're going to find something. This motherfucker a dick. You're right. Yeah. So what you see, what you got going on? Like, what you got next? Like, there's always a next chapter, or maybe that's just me.
The next chapter in my life is, as I segue out of civil cases, suing police officers, I want to help with my background, and I'm actually partaking in something currently, helping criminal defense lawyers who don't know the technical fields of arson and blood spatter and that kind of DNA. Because I grew up in science, I was an engineer, I know that stuff. Mm-hmm. I like that stuff. You know, and my eyes don't gloss over. So I want to help the criminal defense lawyers so that these travesties don't happen on the front end, because it's just too hard to clean it up on the back end.
That's all right.
And that's where I see myself. That and playing with my grandkids. I just had one 2 days ago. So
beautiful. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite in the world. If they come in here right now, we'd be rolling. I'll be like, hey, your papa. Nah, they run shit, and it's all for them. Yep. Eventually, it all goes to them. So that's why I work so hard to keep building for them. Damn, I had one bad motherfucker. It was sitting right there, and I lost it. Shut up, dumb. I had a badass question. Wolf, damn. Well, we're going to give some game when we come back. And Fly Zone Radio, Sit Down, Shade 45, Wolfgang Mueller. We'll be right back.
My man.
My G. The Fly Zone Radio Show, Shade 45. As we bring this sit down to a head, y'all know the end with this Dracula beat Maestro made. I love so much. I always give y'all game. First, I'm telling my brother Wolf what we're doing now is we give people some advice, some life advice, something they can take and it can help them be better and, live better. My game I'm going to give you is Stop trying to be understood and understand. Listen, pay attention, look, watch, read, view, ask questions. Don't just assume. It ain't always about your statement or how you feel or your view on things. Sometimes you just gotta be quiet and let people talk. You'll absorb more and it'll benefit you more to listen than it do to talk, because you can't hear when you talking and you can't learn when you running your mouth unless you're talking to your motherfucking self. Brother Wolf.
My man.
Give people some game, man.
Those are jewels.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
really, I mean, it's how we learn to talk to a girl. They like to talk about themselves. Listen. Ask questions.
Yeah.
And guess what? You might learn something.
Yeah.
You might actually learn something.
You might learn this ain't the one.
This ain't the one, number one. But two, not everybody you're talking to is the enemy. You know, I had a law partner of mine said, we need to stop going around with our jaws clenched so tight. How about we start there and be open to listen to the other side? Because always somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah.
Or a good solution.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be your way or the highway. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we're finding that out in Congress and in world politics. It ain't my way or the highway. You don't get things done, and we don't progress as a people that way.
Right. That's right. Well, this is the Sit Down, Shade 45. Wait, back up. This is the Sit Down, the Fly Zone radio show on Shade 45. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend about the Sit Down. If you enjoy what you watch, we appreciate you. Just click the subscribe button, and you can follow me at TrickTrickGS2. Or you can follow us at The Fly Zone Radio Show, or log on to theflyzoneradio.com to link all of the previous episodes, or you can go to Trick Trick Videos 777. I know, I made the YouTube page a long time ago. Don't give me this shit. They told me I had to have numbers with the name. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. So yeah, do that, and we'll be back next week. Once again, thank our brother Wolfgang Mueller for showing up from the Mueller Law Firm.
Always a pleasure, Christian.
How do they get in touch with you?
They can just look me up on my website, wolfmuellerlaw.com, WOLF, Mueller, MUELLER, 248-489-WOLF.
Like that. See, that's hard. 248-489 Wolf.
You call him a wolf.
Look, that's a commercial. We're doing a 248-489. Just call 248-489 Wolf. That's hard. You don't have a commercial, do you?
I don't have
You do now.